What's good, guys? Fantasy Joe back in our fantasy football video. Today I am talking the top buy low and sell high players in fantasy football. If you buy and sell those guys at the right time, it can help you launch your teams to that fantasy championship, rattle off a bunch of wins in a row, get to those playoffs with a high seed, and do damage once you get there. So make sure to hit that subscribe button for all this content. Do buy lows, sell highs, takeaways, weekly rankings, waiver wire, all the content you need to beat your friends and family in fantasy football. So make sure to hit that subscribe button if you want to win games. And hit that like button if you have any questions or comments. Leave them in the comment section down below. I'll respond to any of your fantasy football questions, and it really helps out the algorithm, guys. So please hit that thumbs up. Please hit me up in the comment section down below. Alrighty, now let's talk some buy lows, some sell highs. I'm going to start with my sell high players. Number one might be a bit of a surprise. I don't even mean it to be. Again, sell high just means you're trying to capitalize on where they are right now. And David Montgomery is one of those guys to be coming off such a monster game. I think he's going to be good. I think he's going to offer great touchdown upside every week. 32 carries, though, is absolutely nuts usage for him. I would try to sell him on that. I'm trying to move him, though, as a top 15 back. If I don't get top 15 back value, I'd probably hang on to Monty personally because I do think he's going to be very effective rest of season. This one might be number one on my list outside of Monty. Monty's obviously very high, but DJ Moore, he's just coming off such a phenomenal week this past week. 131, 9 targets, and a touchdown. Squeaked that good game out, just 3 solid games in a row. I would try to sell high on him. If you had to hold him, it's not the worst thing, but I think you might be able to get somebody like maybe a Brandon Ayuk or somebody of that tier. But yeah, even an Amari Cooper, I think he's another guy you could potentially target with a DJ Moore, maybe acquire him, especially on the bye week if it's a worse team. I'd much rather have Amari Cooper than DJ Moore rest of season personally. Let's talk about another guy who I would sell on currently. It's Adam Thielen. Now, he's currently the wide receiver 10. That's the main reason I'd sell on him. He's been involved every week. I think you can roll him out there. I think he's a solid wide receiver 2/flex play. But like I said, with that top 10 wide receiver performance he's put up thus far, I would try to trade him into a younger, better option. If I could move him and get somebody else, I would absolutely love to. Maybe package him with a decent running back and get a Waddle or something like that. Would love that. Another guy, this isn't a super hard buy, sell high. He just hasn't performed great lately. He's been targeted, but I just really don't trust him. Don't think he's going to be that good on this offense. They just struggled a lot so far this year. I would try to move on from Miles Sanders if I could get something good for him. Obviously, it's going to be a huge who knows. But Khalil Herbert's another one of those guys I would move on from. I just don't know how many games. I think he's going to split with Roschon Johnson the work. I don't know how many games he's going to be able to get 18 carries. As you see, he's never broken double digits even. I think he's a talented back. I think he's on a bad offense that won't give him game scripts to affect fantasy in a positive way consistently. So I'd move on from Herbert if I can. And then the last one, he's coming off a rough week, but he still just performed so well for fantasy. Achane, I think, is going to be a thing for the rest of the season. 7 for 9 his last week was abysmal, but he's still, what is he? The RB2 overall. See if you can move on from Raheem Mostert. Get a locked-in value at running back. Somebody's going to get the ball a lot each and every week. This is my number one buy low, or, buy him while you still can more because he had a good week. This past week, he's the number one target running back in fantasy football right now. That's Josh Jacobs. If I could move on from a Mostert and try to get into a Jacobs, I would love to do a trade like that. You'd probably have to add something, but he's just used so much. He's used in the passing game. He gets a ton of volume on the ground. I think this rushing attack on his offense will improve. Last week, they had Aiden O'Connell. I think they'll get some help at quarterback relatively soon. Either way, they're going to run the ball a lot, though, and Josh Jacobs, I think, is one of those guys who is going to be awesome for fantasy football the rest of the season. I think people are a little down on him currently at RB17. This next guy, I don't know if you'll be able to buy him, but I think he is one of my top 3 running backs the rest of the season. Tony Pollard, coming off a rough week, 7.5 this last week versus Dallas, kind of faded so far as the season goes on. I don't prescribe him those results for the rest of the season, though. I think he's going to be dynamic for fantasy football, and he might have just had a rough enough game that you might be able to go out there and acquire him. I would try to if I could. Another guy I'll highlight just real quickly, Ramondre Stevenson. I might wait one more week, but I think he'll be solid against New Orleans. But if you just look at the usage that he's had each and every week, 14, 19, 15, 12 carries, he's evolved in the passing game as well. I'm not afraid of Ezekiel Elliott. He's just kind of had a murderer's row of defenses with the Jets, Dallas, New Orleans. But after that, it starts to get a little better for him with that Vegas. Buffalo is not what you want, but after that, really not too scared of any of these matchups. Just kind of a murderer's row to start the season. But Ramondre, you can either wait a week or you can go get him now. But I think he's somebody that I would want rest of season. The way the season's gone so far hasn't affected my outlook too much. This might be my number one at the wide receiver position. It's Jalen Waddle. He's just not done a ton for fantasy football this season. I still think he's going to be dynamic. I haven't lost faith. He's going to get targeted more than he has. He is really, really good at football. That helps as well. You see even 86 yards, 78 yards on 5 and 6 targets. That's a solid week for that type of usage. He's going to have more usage as the weeks go on. Believe in Jalen Waddle. Believe in the talent that he is. Another guy coming off a bad week, I think he's going to be really good this season, Michael Pittman Jr. Let's look at these targets. Double digits every week except for this week. 11, 12, 11, 5 this last week. Just throw that out. He's going to be back involved on a weekly basis. He's got touchdown upside. I really like Michael Pittman Jr. He's going to get a lot of targets. He's a good wide receiver. Anthony Richardson's been better than we anticipated. He'd be a guy I try to go out there and get. Another receiver, this one might be a surprise too. I've seen some people saying that you should sell high on this player. I think this is a buy low just because I think he's finally healthy. It's Terry McLaurin, 10 targets this last week. He turned that in for 8 and 86. Plays the Chicago Bears this next week. I think he'll be really good for fantasy. I would love to play acquire Terry. I think he's a wide receiver 2 rest of the season. I think he's just really good, and Sam Howell's looked good as well. And then my last guy, Amari Cooper, he's on bye this week, so you might be able to go out there and acquire him pretty cheap. And coming off a really rough week with DTR, the backup quarterback, I think there's reason to be. But if we look at, he was banged up in this game a little bit, and that game was really wet. But if we look at those 2 other ones, 10 targets, 8 targets, 116, 90. Should have had 2 touchdowns in this game and even more yards. It wasn't for a bad call. I think Amari Cooper's back-end wide receiver 1, maybe high-end wide receiver 2, that I think you can acquire for a back-end wide receiver 2 price right now. Alright, if you guys have made it to this point in the video, please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. If you have any questions or comments, leave them in the comment section down below. I'll respond as always. This has been Fantasy Joe. Thank you guys for watching.